Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday morning and we're off to Quakertown. This time it's for the Pennsylvania Patriot Coalition rally. It's called Take Back Our Republic. The fix is local. So it'll be an exciting day, assuming the weather doesn't decide to put a damper on it.
The weather could make it exciting.
Yeah, it could be.
Scattered thunderstorms.
If you're coming out in person, I would highly recommend you bring a rain jacket, poncho, and or umbrella, or both. Also, don't forget your chair, because there are no chairs at the event. It's kind of like an open area where you can set up your chairs. So you'll definitely want your chair. We're going to have some amazing speakers today. We'll have Sam Faddis, who's the president of the Patriot Coalition. He'll be emceeing the event. We'll have Tony Shoup from Audit the Vote. We'll have Doug Mastriano. We'll also have Bill Allen and a few local candidates that are running for office. And there will also be live music as well, which is pretty exciting.
So here we are on Old 22 heading east in the little town of New Smithville.
The music will be presented by Right for Bucks Band, which is also known as the Well-Strung Band. They have two different names. I put both of their websites in the description for the live stream for later, so that way you can check them out. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. And they'll also have tabling and such at the event as well, so different grassroots groups will be here, so that different people, can go around and, collect information, join different groups, socialize with fellow patriots, like-minded people. Fortunately, I'm going to have to mute this for a second. I got a phone call. Sunday that your esteemed doctor calls you, but when they do,
it's interesting they have hours on Sundays.
yeah, it's my long haul COVID doctor, and they're open every day of the week. My last appointment, I had the option of scheduling it on July 2nd or July 4th. I was like, whatever's better for the doc.
Really? They had all hours on the 4th of July?
Yeah. She's like, which day works better for you? I'm like, I'm open both days. Whatever works better for him. We ended up doing it on the Sunday. But yeah, it's just interesting. But it goes to show you that some doctors really care or put patients first. They'll help around the clock, which is really nice. But when you tend to be a long haul patient or an injured patient, you tend to, your case is much more complex than an average patient. So you tend to get answers at odd hours of the day sometimes because of time zone differences as well. Because my doctor's actually in a different time zone as well. So, pretty excited. But yeah, it was just a check-in, just to see how some things were going. So.
Unexpected check-in.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. The one thing that we wanted to get from the pharmacy is delayed, so I can't get it till next week. And then the special lab kit hasn't shown up yet to check the status of my microclotting. Yeah, I know it's vibrating. The highway is just bumpy. I can't get the vibration out, so I'm sorry, you guys. You're in a blender today. I think it's partly the road.
Oh, it's definitely a lot of the road. This road is just, it just takes so much of a beating. I don't know, it just doesn't handle the weight and the amount of traffic. It's always needing repair.
That was a bump. For those that made it to the end, we're headed off to Quakertown to be at the Pennsylvania Patriot Coalition event for official media. Let's hope for good weather. Dry would be preferable.
It's getting better the further we go.
Yeah, I'll take it. I mean, every bit helps. So leaving home this morning, it was kind of very humid, and made you want to feel like you needed a shower. So, super grateful for air conditioning. We put the flags on the car today, our convoy flags that we got.
Yeah, I thought maybe we were trying to tear them apart on the highway.
Well, I guess we could have put them on closer.
They take a beating at highway speeds.
Yeah, I guess I should have done that. I guess I wasn't entirely sure which way we were going to go, but with the time, we need to take the faster way. So we have enough time to set up.
There's a sign for Quakertown.
I think it's the first one. I used to call it when I was a kid Quakertown.
We still do.
Like a duck. Quack, quack. So a few days ago, we took a scouting mission out to the park to check it all out. Got a good view of the stage, test out the hot spots, figure out which one's going to work, or hopefully work. So when you get 100 plus people in one area with cell phones, it can make it a little bit difficult. But plan B is we'll record and just upload afterwards. Hopefully it'll work out to do a live stream. We'll be live streaming on Rumble at 27 GWY NNY7. Also on YouTube as actually surprised to wake up and it wasn't raining this morning. 'Cause when we had gone to bed, the forecast was predicting rain all morning. So maybe the storms moved further than expected.
Expecting the Canadian smoke to come back after this front goes through.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. My doctor asked me about that if the smoke had reached us yet, because they're further northwest than we are, and I said, not yet. Today's kind of rainy, but it might be tomorrow.
Yeah, I think they have it already where they are.
Yeah, they say it's bad.
The projections that I saw look pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we got out in the garden last night, because if it's going to be that bad, I probably won't want to be outside. I love how the Weather Channel has to throw ads down your throat all the time. It's like,
You gotta pay for it somehow.
just give me the weather.
You expect it for free?
Yeah. Now, they do have a paid subscription service, though, so people do pay to subscribe to get rid of it. I just don't want to do that, because everybody wants to do that.
Well, it does cost money to generate the content.
Yeah. Hey, good news. The percentage for thunderstorms has gone down drastically for Quakertown. We're now at currently 21%, and it'll stay that way. It'll drop to 20% at 1 o'clock, and then 15% for the next few hours, and then it increases a little bit later. So that's good news.
Yeah, I wasn't looking forward to having any kind of thunderstorms roll through there.
No, when I was talking to the leader of the band, I said, how's the weather looking? He's like, well, at the moment, 80% thunderstorms. I'm like, oof.
When was this?
This was a few days ago. And I said, what's the plan if it rains? He says, I'm grabbing my tarp and covering everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a smart idea, bring a tarp. Should have brought one, but I've got some ideas in case I gotta cover things. I hope I don't have to use them, because it may not be the best for our viewers, but it'll be what it'll be. For those who've been following us in our fight against a proposed solar farm, I did get up edited audio from the most recent supervisor meeting that was on Wednesday night. So if you want to check that out, that's up on YouTube. I've got to get it up on Rumble probably tomorrow. Just ran out of time. Took a little bit to process it, because I wasn't expecting to have Representative Jamie Barton show up, and they rearranged the room layout, so the speaker was like right in front of my microphone, so he was really loud, and then everybody else not so much, so I had to do a bit of tweaking on. And then the fun part was get the audio to match the video, because I did something it normally doesn't do, which was get out of sync when I tried to remerge the new audio, so that was fun.
There's always something involved.
Yeah. It's technology, right? It's great when it works.
We're working on getting some aerial video of the proposed area where they're going to put all the solar panels. It's about 450 acres affected.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's all nice farmland right now.
Some people might be like, "Whoa, why are you against construction issues. You've got, visibility to the residents nearby. The proposed barriers and stuff are not exactly going to work because the whole thing's on a hill.
I think the setbacks aren't adequate in the zoning ordinance.
No, something that needs to get changed.
The problem is you got a mixed use area. You got 40 to 50 homesteads, home sites right next door, adjoining property owners.
The land's technically graded as agriculture, but the solar was trying to get a conditional use application for it. They're calling it commercial solar based on how our ordinance is written, because when our ordinance was written, there was no industrial solar at the time.
There wasn't a lot. There was some.
Well, compared to now, there's a lot more of it now compared to then. So, our ordinance says commercial rather than industrial, which commercial and industrial are two different animals in terms of how many panels you're talking and how big they are. The scale is not the same.
That I didn't know.
Yeah. I learned that in our research committee. The gentleman that knows the electrical code guidelines, there's a clear definition in terms of how much power is generated as to which category you fall under. So, some other issues that have arisen is, decommissioning. The solar company has to put up a decommissioning bond as required by the ordinance, and decommissioning is very, very expensive. Or to quote the planning commission engineer, astronomically high. Which was pretty funny because I was covering that event and I was wearing my astronomy shirt at that night with the constellations on it, so I thought that was pretty cool. But he's right though. Right now there's not a lot of recycling options, so a lot of panels are ending up in landfills. So for example, you remember that Nebraska solar farm I told you about that was about 5.2 megawatt hours?
Was that the one that got damaged by hail?
Yeah, well our friend actually sent me an article about it. I had read articles about it, but I didn't know what was going to happen to the panels. And apparently many of them are going to end up in the landfill because recycling isn't feasible. So they ended up having a June thunderstorm that dumped baseball-sized hail onto their farm at supposedly at 150 miles an hour, which destroyed most of the facility within a few minutes.
Did they have a tornado?
It was a super thunderstorm. It was very damaging. It destroyed so many crops and everything. It says in the article, according to CBS, more than 90% of panels are dumped in landfills when they are damaged, defective, or reach end of usefulness. As of 2030, CBS says panels will take up about 3,000 football fields worth of landfill space. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, this is something that's not getting addressed.
Yeah. So the thunderstorm came out of eastern Wyoming and went into Nebraska. That's what the article says. Nearly every solar panel was destroyed in the hailstorm. Nearly all will be taken to a landfill as it's not economical to recycle the metals or minerals to reuse them. So much for renewable energy. Though apparently the spokesperson for the actual owner hasn't actually finalized what's going to happen.
That's interesting. What do you think of when you think of renewable?
Well, when I think of renewable, I think back to the day when I learned about recycling and how Earth Day, how it's so good for the planet to recycle everything. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Reuse your plastic bottle. Reuse your pans, etc. Don't throw it out. So renewable energy, I would think, would be less dangerous to the environment and is recyclable or mostly recyclable. Stuff that you can keep reusing with minimal cost. there's different types.
Where is the arsenic used?
I'm not sure. I think it's... I don't remember the specifics if it's part of the wafer or something. I'm not sure.
I know a friend of ours talked about that, but I don't know where it's being used. Is it part of the silicon wafer, or?
I think it might be part of the silicon ones, but don't quote me on that. I have to double check.
I know they use different elements in the silicon to create the conductivity. It's not just pure silicon. You have to add elements that have more or less electrons in silicon in order to get the conductivity.
Yeah. I know for ours at the township level, we think based on the solar company presentation that they admitted to saying there was cadmium and lead in them. But
So
they tried to say they were safe.
So it could be the cadmium telluride.
Panels. That's my guess.
I don't know if the cadmium is really a high risk unless you have
Broken panels.
or fires.
Yeah.
Which,
Those are my two concerns. Is
Yeah.
if they break or if there's a fire, that's not going to be good. Yeah, I figured that guy was going to stop. It's your choice, buddy. It's a red light.
he wanted to stop at the next one.
The next one. The 2 lights from now is the one that I feel like is a seizure light. It's got the flashy strips through them that blink at you obnoxiously when it's red.
I think one of the concerns I have with the cadmium telluride panels is that they're using about 40% of the world's production of tellurium to make these panels.
And if they just end up in a landfill, you're going to eventually run out of tellurium, you know? We got to find a way to recycle it. And cadmium's toxic, so like some of the solar recycling videos you see out there, you see them grinding up panels to like recycle the bits and pieces. You can't do that with cadmium panels because you'll put the cadmium particles in the air, which is considered a carcinogen by the CDC.
You've actually read some research on this?
Yeah.
That they can't grind up the cadmium telluride panels?
You don't want to break them and inhale the fumes from them. The dust and fumes.
I'm guessing then you just have to control that under the right environmental conditions.
Yeah, in the videos that they were showing, these people were just standing there walking around with...
So they were chewing up the regular ones?
Yeah, it looked like
The silicon-based panels?
Yeah. Yeah, I would think you'd have to have it completely sealed off so that people aren't breathing the air in if you're doing the cadmium ones. The other thing with the cadmium telluride panels is they're also thinner, which makes them cheaper, which makes them, more likely to get their money back faster than the other panels because they're thinner, so there's less material. The downside is, at least I think it's a downside, is it's more likely, I feel like it's more likely to get broken with, heavy winds or hail or whatever, because they're so thin compared to the thicker ones. But I could be wrong.
You could be. I think there's glass over top of everything. I don't know if that's thinner. In certain applications, maybe it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know that the cadmium telluride layer is thinner than the silicon layer panels because it's better at absorbing the sunlight. You don't need as much, the depth-wise, the absorption depth for cadmium telluride is less. So therefore you can use less material, which reduces your costs because you're not using as much material. But I don't know if it makes it more vulnerable because of the outer cover that they all have.
Yeah, I don't know. I just heard when I was researching stuff that, they are thinner because they can put them on roofs too, that, if you get really strong winds, they're more likely to move in the wind because they're thinner if they're not anchored, really, really good.
be interesting to see, what kind of a difference there is. Because panels are heavy, so making them lighter could be a plus. Whether that makes them more vulnerable to damage, I don't know. But it was disappointing to hear that these things don't get recycled very much. Because that's going to be a real problem as we build out more solar, and then eventually these panels will fail, either from
damage, or
weather damage, or
useful life.
Yeah. I think you had told me this, that right now a lot of the panels that are being disposed of are from damage.
Yeah.
But eventually the fraction from end of life is going to start to increase, and we're going to have this solar panel trash wave hit us. So if we don't figure out how to get these things recycled,
we're going to have a problem on our hands.
Or it could just really be an economic problem, because you probably could recycle things more effectively. It's just going to cost more. Hence why decommissioning costs in the future could be really high. We could be in a situation 20 years from now where they said, well, you have to recycle this stuff. We're putting way too much in the landfill. And that might cost 5 times more than throwing it away.
True.
But you have to do it because you need to recycle those materials.
I always like this place up here on the right. They got this giant dragon. It's an antique mall. One of the interesting things about the Nebraska article, it talks about, they call it polysilicon. It says polysilicon can't ever be recycled back into polysilicon. If it's fake recycled into sand, it would be absolutely toxic. Which I thought that was kind of interesting. A gentleman wrote on his Substack that at best panels would have $6 worth of silver in it that could be refined, but it's not possible. You can't recover the silver. It doesn't work that way. So I just thought that was interesting. But the photos of this solar farm that got destroyed by hail is just wow. And that's only a tenth of the proposed size, roughly, of what they're looking to build near us. That's 5.2 megawatts, and they're looking at 50 megawatts. So some of the engineering plans said 64. So I guess we really don't know what the final number is.
I think they had originally proposed more panels. Maybe that's where the 64 came from. Down, they forgot to change the number in that one spot in the application.
Could be. Oh, I wish I could read that sign.
That was interesting.
It said 1 out of 3 Biden supporters, and I couldn't read the rest of it. Hard to read on the curve. I had it turned to the cooling off the phone. Look at this shiny tank first. I'm gonna just sidetrack us for a second. I wanted to let people know of an upcoming screening of the movie Spellers. For those that don't know, it's a movie that came out recently. It talks about how people who are autistic have learned to communicate with their loved ones using what they call spelling. So what they do is they use letter boards. Eventually, if they get good enough at it, they can do typing. And it basically allows them to communicate with their loved ones, which is amazing because most of the time, you know, those that are nonverbal, it's been almost impossible for them to communicate. So it's a highly emotional movie, but it's a must watch. And the Civic Theater in Allentown is hosting it on Friday, July 21st at 7 p.m. So if you're interested in getting tickets, which are, I believe, $10, you can go to Civic quaker.com and find out all the details there. I know we're plan to attend that to cover a Q&A afterwards, so that'll be really exciting. Hey Will, it's good to see you. Will says, can't help but admire you, Gwen. You don't give up. I hope you see much success. Aw, thanks, Will. Appreciate it. Trying my best. Some days the dragon wins, but other days it feels pretty good. But I feel pretty happy with our fight with the solar farm, because I feel like the research committee I helped create and run, we put in probably, I don't know, hundreds of man hours combined between all of us. So we saved a lot in terms of attorney fees. And I think the biggest compliment was when our attorney came to meet our group. He asked, who's Gwen in the room? I raised my hand. And he's like, well done. Because I had written up a document about the 224-page conditional use application, all the flaws and stuff that I saw in regards to our ordinances. And he really liked it in the packet that we put together. So that was pretty exciting. And I had to laugh when Ron said, it's like, yeah, you ever need an assistant? You know, he's like, well, if I didn't have one, I'd consider hiring her. So that was pretty cool. So, I attribute researching a lot when I got sick with Lyme disease. I think that's really what honed my researching skills.
So we're coming into Quakertown from the
back way.
Yeah, kind of the back way.
It does look like it rained this morning. It's everything wet. Sign at their driveway.
It's so humid that the air conditioning is causing condensation on the windshield.
I guess I could turn it off. So the plan is that around 12:30, if all goes well and the band's ready to go, I will go live, because the band is starting us off today. And then we'll go through the whole day, and then we'll have an upcoming stream this Thursday night. We'll be covering an amazing speaker. He'll be speaking for about 50 minutes, is what I've told, and then he'll be doing a Q&A with the audience. Highly recommend you tune in for that. I'll be posting some details about that later in the week to remind you, but definitely would recommend watching that or catching the replay if you can't watch it live, because he will be talking about China and how they've infiltrated our country, and among other things.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I assume so, because that's what his latest book's about. You know? Showing you who the communists are in America. He's doing a 6-book series where he's showing the different people who are currently in office that have communist ties.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
sorry, I lost focus trying to figure out where to turn.
It's up here on the right.
Yeah. I didn't realize you had segued into talking about Trevor Loudon.
I cannot confirm or deny if that's who I'm talking about.
Okay. Even though you just told everybody about the books he's published.
I didn't say the name of the books, but okay, the cat's out of the bag. But yeah, definitely recommend you tune in for that, because that'll be exciting. So. Well, it looks like it won't be too hard to find a spot yet. We've made it, guys! We've made it! It's early. The gates don't normally open till noon for everybody else. There's the giant chair I got to sit on the other day.
Yeah. I guess I got to figure out where we should park.
I'm not sure. But I'm going to go ahead and end the live, guys. I'll see you around 12:30 if all goes well.